You bury your phone charger cable somewhere in a drawer and forget about it. You lose a set of keys, you misplace a receipt you'll need later. Small losses, forgettable. Now, think about the last time you lost someone. A grandparent, a pet, maybe someone closer than that. You knew what to do. You knew the shape of the ritual, the flowers, the quiet room, the sentence, "I'm so sorry for your loss." You didn't invent any of that in the moment. It was already inside you, waiting. But here's the strange part. That knowledge, the entire architecture of how to grieve, had to be built by someone at some point for the very first time. Somewhere back in the dark, a human being looked at a body that used to talk and laugh and walk beside them and had absolutely no idea what to do about it. There was no ritual yet, no word for funeral, no belief in an afterlife to soften the blow, just a body and a silence that had never existed before. For most of the time humans have existed on this planet, death looked nothing like it does now. Homo sapiens have been around for roughly 300,000 years, but the earliest solid evidence we have of humans deliberately burying their dead, arranging a body, placing it with intention, only goes back about 100,000 years. That means for at least 200,000 years, for thousands of generations. When a human died, the others most likely just left. No grave, no marker, no goodbye. The body became part of the landscape, the same way it would for a deer or a wolf. 200,000 years of walking away from death, before someone somewhere decided not to go. Once you understand how recently grief became a ritual, you'll never look at a funeral, a gravestone, or even a moment of silence the same way again, because you're witnessing one of the oldest inventions humanity ever made. The evidence starts in caves. At Kafse, in what is now Israel, archaeologists uncovered a skeleton nearly 100,000 years old. The body hadn't just fallen there. It had been positioned, arms placed deliberately, a pair of deer antlers resting against the chest. Someone had knelt down and made a choice. Not far away, at Skull Cave, another burial. A young man lay to rest with a boar's jaw cradled in his arms. Anthropologist Irela Hovers, who spent years studying these sites, argued that this wasn't random. These objects carried meaning. A jawbone stopped being food and became something closer to a message. Then there's Shanidar Cave in Iraq. A Neanderthal skeleton, over 60,000 years old, was found in a shallow stone niche. For decades, this was called the flower burial because pollen was found clustered around the body, suggesting wildflowers had been laid with him. And here's where neuroscience enters the story. Psychologist Ajit Varki proposed something unsettling. The awareness of our own mortality is one of the most dangerous ideas evolution ever produced. An animal that fully grasps it will die someday, might simply stop trying to survive. Varki argued that this awareness could only take hold in a species that simultaneously developed the ability to deny it, to believe in something beyond the body. In other words, the same mental leap that let early humans grieve might be the exact same leap that invented hope. Here's the part almost nobody knows. In 2020, researchers went back to Shanidar Cave with better tools than the original 1960s excavation team had. And they found something that quietly dismantled the famous flower burial story. Tiny burrowing bees had tunneled through the sediment layers, tunnels that ran straight down into the grave, carrying pollen from the surface long after the burial happened. The flowers, it turns out, may never have been placed by a human hand at all. It might have been an accident of nature, misread as an act of love for 60 years. But here's the twist. Inside the twist, even without the flowers, the body itself was still deliberately placed, protected, positioned with care. The intention was real. It just wasn't proven by flowers. It was proven by something quieter and harder to fake. The simple fact that someone chose to arrange a body instead of walking away from it. The romance got smaller. The truth got more human. If burial was one of humanity's first rituals, something eventually came along to make death invisible again. And it wasn't a war, or a disease, or a war on tradition. It was distance. Modern hospitals, funeral homes, and mortuaries didn't exist to erase meaning, but their side effect was quiet removal. Death used to happen in the home, witnessed by everyone, touched by everyone. Now it happens in rooms most of us never enter, handled by professionals we never meet, wrapped up before we're forced to look at it directly. We didn't lose the ritual, we outsourced it. And in doing so, we became strangers to something our ancestors, 100,000 years ago, forced themselves to face directly, with their own hands, in the dirt, with no one to do it for them. So think about that person you lost, the one whose photo you still keep somewhere. You knew exactly what to feel, what to say, what to do, because someone thousands of generations before you had to figure all of it out with nothing to guide them. No script, no comfort of tradition, just a body and a decision not to leave it behind. That decision is still inside every funeral, every flower laid on a casket, every moment you've ever gone quiet, thinking about someone gone. Here's the question worth sitting with. If the ability to grieve had to be invented, piece by piece, grave by grave, over tens of thousands of years, what does it say about us that we still do it? Maybe love was never the easy part. Maybe refusing to walk away was.